Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Progressively Yours Health and Wellness Podcast. And yeah, we have to be able to laugh at ourselves. I said all of that, and I looked up and I'm like, we're muted. Let me start again. Anyway, replay. Anyway, we're glad you're with us, whether you're watching live or watching the replay. We always try to prepare. Try is not to use that word. We prepare a phenomenal show for you each time, and I think you won't be disappointed. We have a very special guest, good friend, who's going to be joining us for this segment and talking about something that is there's a lot of buzz about it, and we didn't really give it away in the name of the show, but you'll learn very why it's so important. But before we get to Dr. Bev, I'm gonna turn it over to Bernard. Did you introduce yourself?
No, because you muted and then you came back and you forgot to say who you were.
Oh, I'm Dr. Imani.
I'm J. Bernard Kine Sr.
Okay, well, like I said, we can laugh at ourselves. It's gonna be a great show. Unfortunately, it's gonna go very fast, like all of the other shows. I do want to talk about expanding our time to maybe an hour and a half, just so we can get everything in that we want to talk about. We'll talk about that.
We're growing to that, and we've got responses from people who watch the show who would like the version. Even our producer has given us an idea to have several of the guests back and do a panel like 2 hours, and
I like that.
Because we've had some tremendous guests, as we have an outstanding guest tonight. As we prepare to move in part of the show, before we begin, it is part of our ritual and tradition to settle in, and this is part of our spiritual meditation. It's not religious in the sense of about religion, but indeed we are spiritual, and we want to invite the proper energies to be with us as we share with you from our hearts, and Dr. Beverly Orr will share from her heart. So before we begin, I'd like for you to join with me if you wish to participate by taking in 3 breaths after I strike a small gong bowl, and we shall begin. If you'd like to participate, please close your eyes, not completely, but be able to see slightly in front of you, depending on your position. If you're sitting just the top of the table or the top of your feet, take in 3 cleansing breaths through your nose, deep and full. Feel the rise of your chest as you take an inhale, and deflation as you exhale. As you're breathing in and as you're breathing out, recite this mantra to yourself. I am breathing in on the inhalation. I am breathing out on the exhalation. Do that 3 times as we word of the Creator and the ancestors who continue to watch over us as we move through this part of our journey, to continue to inspire who are 9,000 strong at a minimum at our backs, pushing us forward to be agents of change and transformation in the lives of those who we come into contact and those who want to be with them on a daily basis. So therefore, we welcome Dr. Beverly. We welcome each of you. It is indeed for the ancestors. Ashe, Namaste, and Amen.
Amen.
I want to read briefly to you Dr. Wayne W. Dyer's Wisdom of the Tao, verse 12. Very short it is. I choose to ignore the seductive lure of acquisition and fame. The 5 colors blind the eye. The 5 tones deafen the ear. The 5 flavors dull the taste. The chase and the hunt craves people's minds. Wasting energy to obtain rare objects only impedes one's growth. The master serves the world, but trusts his inner vision. He allows things to come and to go. He prefers what is within to what is without. It is for the ancestors. Ashe.
That was nice. Prefers what's within than what's outside of us. We're always looking for confirmation or recognition from outside. And what's most important is that we be balanced inside. And people need to keep that thought in the forefront of their minds all the time, because seeking permission, material stuff, or confirmation that we're okay, or that we look okay, or that we sound okay. And, you know, the main confirmation comes from within, you know, from ourselves, from that great still voice inside of us, too. So with that, you know, one of my favorite topics is energy. Everything is energy. We are going to play a little piece. I'm going to ask our producer, Janet, to play piece to remind you about the AO scan and the power of the scan. And if people are interested in getting more information about it or getting the scan to try, please feel free to call me, 757-452-0856. So let's play the little piece. Oh, I also wanted to say, you know, like I said, everything, we were on a, Bernard and I were on a little mini retreat getaway this weekend. And we're in this little restaurant, and he had stepped away, and there were these 3 women speaking at a table next to me. And one of them, not dominating the conversation, but she was talking about things that were relevant to us. We'll probably have to have her on the show at some point. But she got to the point where she said, "Is energy, everything is vibration." And I said, "Excuse me, I am all in your conversation." And they said, come on over. You know, we started talking and just, you know, met a new friend, just because everything is energy and everything is vibration. And open to hearing about me, and I wanted to hear more about them and what they do. So I thought that was a beautiful moment in time, and we did promise to keep in touch, and we will. So here's a little clip I want you to hear about the AO scan. Janet?
Have you ever felt frustrated waiting to be seen when you're not feeling your best? Or ever struggled through tests and expensive procedures without ever finding real relief? Imagine if you could get a better understanding of your overall well-being right now, in minutes. What would that mean to you, or to your family? We'd like you to know there's a whole new way to improve your comprehension surrounding your wellness, using a total body scanner unlike any other, right in your own home. This groundbreaking new technology helps you to better understand your body's needs and wellness status, and it's available to you and your family right now. Here's how the science works. Every organ in the human body vibrates at a particular frequency. When illness appears, this frequency changes. Think about it like tuning a guitar. When the string frequencies are incorrect, the music will not sound harmonious. When your body's frequencies are restored, you restore harmony to your whole body, energizing and optimizing your mental, emotional, and nutritional states. We found that people who experienced this technology were so excited they started telling everyone. So we also created an income opportunity where people can earn a little extra by sharing the product. No more wondering, no more worrying. Take charge of creating your best life. Learn more about how you can retune, revitalize, and restore your own body harmony by clicking the link below.
We're back. In addition to the AO scan, we have a number of things that are health promoting technologies and supplements and things that we talk about on the show. But we've also created some really nice sponsor packages for organizations that want to be seen or share their information and their products on the show with us. So if you are interested, the packages are really good. I would get in early because the prices are going to go up. But if you're interested in becoming a Progressively Yours Health and Wellness podcast, you can also call me, 757-452-0856. Thank you, Janet. You're so good. And that is it for me. So we, phenomenal book I have to tell you about. I'm going to tell you about next time. It's coming out in September, but you can pre-order now. There's a woman's, and I don't have the information in front of me, so I don't want to stumble over the name of it. Mm-hmm. But it's like an anthology of writings from women across the country on the topics of women's health, specifically African American women's health. So it's really, really, it's a nice piece, and we started this project probably about 2 or 3 years ago. So I'm excited, and I will have all of that information and how people can pre-order their book starting next week. Okay, so with that, I am excited about introducing a guest who, when I went to Virginia Beach back in 2019, Dr. Bev is actually one of the first people that I met, because we were looking for natural holistic care for my mom, and it was Ron Dismuke who said, you have to go see Dr. Bev. And we did, and we've been in touch and as friends ever since. We've worked on some products together. So Dr. Beverly Shropshire Orr, she is an instinctive entrepreneur. What does that mean? She started her first business at the age of 9. She started dressing a neighbor's hair as a way to help. And after a few times of pressing and styling her hair, her friends started paying her. And she shared the experience with other neighbors and grew a clientele as a 9-year-old, working on her neighbor's hair, making money to help her family. Dr. Bev, fast forward, attended Murray State University in Kentucky. And she decided when she went to school, she was on the school track, but she realized very early that she really loved cosmetology. So she left the state and started cosmetology school. Fast forward, she has opened and operated 3 professional beauty salons and a startup of several others. She also completed her PhD in metaphysical psychology in 2007 from the University of Sedona. I love Sedona. And served clients as a holistic emotional health practitioner. She is currently serving clients as a holistic business consultant on the path to building her legacy of helping others expand their entrepreneurial aspirations in this evolving world of AI technology. Her organization is entitled Renewing Legacies Marketing Agency. Renewing Legacies Marketing Agency is a unique, it's in a unique niche serving senior entrepreneurs, and it's repurposing the expertise experience of elders to help transform the lives of this beautiful, youthful aging population. By initiating this demographic to renew their legacies through entrepreneurship, her organization is making a significant impact in their lives and in the lives of their families. Please join us in welcoming Dr. Bev Orr on the show.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, Dr.
Hey,
Bev, how
Hey,
are
Dr.
you?
Bev,
hey,
welcome.
how are you? Doing great. How are you? Oh, such a beautiful
Good.
couple. I tell you, it is so exciting to be here tonight and to see you all.
Thank
Thank you so much for
you.
having
Thank
me.
you.
Oh, our
Absolutely.
pleasure. Our pleasure. And the other thing I didn't mention in your bio is that you're a phenomenal talk show host yourself, and that you're one of the first people that you interviewed me when I had pretty much had just landed in Virginia Beach, and
Wow.
and that was nice. So
Yeah.
I was telling our producer, I said, Dr. Bev is such a pro at this. We won't have to say much. She's going to take this. And once we get her warmed up on her favorite
Oh
topic,
my goodness. Oh yeah. Get me warmed up and I tell you, it's just like it just flows. But I didn't realize that I was the first one to meet you, that you had just really gotten here. I didn't realize that.
I had
Mm.
just gotten there, remember? And we
Wow.
were looking for natural
For your
forms
mother.
of wellness and care for my mom.
Yeah.
And so Beamer, and and then you referred us to Tracy, and the rest was history.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
So
That's
yeah,
good.
thank you
That's
so
good.
much for all
Oh,
that
my
you
pleasure.
make connections for us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so
beautiful.
I'll let you want to ask the first question? Get her warmed up.
Sure.
Okay.
Uh,
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Here we go. Here we go.
no,
Now
I'm
it's,
you
holding
it,
got
on.
you got this.
it's wonderful and delightful to be able to engage with you. And before we get to the elements of what you do, who you are, I'd like for our audience to hear from you. Just tell us who you are. This has become my kind of patent question, if you will,
Sure.
for all the guests. Uh, just tell us briefly about, just free associating who you are in the first 12 years of your life. What part of your story comes to mind when you think about yourself?
Yes. Well, I think of myself as the number two of out of five children, and number two, but at the same time, the one that was different, a little bit odd. And odd, not as a bad thing, but odd because I always had questions, and I always wanted to know why. Well, why does that work like that? Well, why is that like that? Well, how come? Well,
Mm.
why? And just that, I mean, it would drive my dad crazy, it would drive my mom bonkers. My sisters and brothers would look at me like, "Okay, she gonna ask a question. We already know she gonna ask because she gonna wanna know."
Yes.
So, just the questions and
Uh,
and just that part of me just kinda stuck, and that's one of the things that is like my signature is always knowing the right questions to ask, even
uh,
now. Because questions do a particular thing for your brain. It opens it up and it allows it to explore things that you normally wouldn't explore.
yeah.
So just questions. I didn't know that questions were going to be such a big part of what I do and who I am in terms of working as a holistic practitioner, in terms of working as a stylist, in terms of working as a barber, in terms of working anything I do with people, I'm always asking questions. And they're not
Mm.
just like questions, but they're the kind of questions that go beyond just the everyday answer. So they're questions that send
Mhm.
people inside, and they have to go inside to come up with the answer. And I said, well,
Right, right.
no one's ever asked me that like that. Wow, I know. So it's just that part that really stands out because I just always wanted to know, just curious about everything, how things worked, why they worked the way they did, and particularly with people. Why do
Mm,
people do the things that they do? My dad was Army, so we grew up Army brats. So we were in Europe twice. We spent, 2 tours in Germany before I was in the 8th grade.
Mhm.
So we were looking at people. Somebody else had to tell me that I was a black person. I did not know.
wow.
Didn't know.
Wow.
Who,
Wow.
Didn't know the
who
difference.
who's
So
that someone? Who's that someone that shared that with you?
it was a person who lived in the same, not barracks, but in the same housing area that we lived in, and she
Mhm.
was of another race. And I thought, and it wasn't black. I mean, it wasn't white. I don't even remember what race she was, but she just informed me that, well, your skin is different, so you are different from me. I was like, I'm not any different
Mm,
from you. I didn't know that.
Wow.
So once I found out, I went home and informed my mother, and she just kind of looked at me and she says, "Didn't you know that?" I said,
wow.
I didn't
Mhm.
I didn't realize that, I did not realize it. So, it's that initiate being that initiate at even that young age of being initiated into certain things, and because I had to be initiated and not just taking it for granted was one of those things that kinda stands out. Because I still things that are really obvious, people think are really obvious, but it's
Hmm.
those obvious things that if we make them obvious, we don't ask about them, or we don't look into them, or we just kind of take them at face value. But nothing is obvious now.
No,
Think
Mhm.
about what's
no,
going on. Nothing is obvious.
that's right.
Nothing is
Nothing,
obvious.
nothing.
Nothing. Want to start asking those questions. And
Questions.
and when you're working as a coach, as a practitioner, and I work with the AO scan as well, so it's nothing is obvious. So if someone says, well, I've had this problem this all of my life, and it just kind of just appears and it goes away, and then it reappears. Interesting.
Mm,
Mhm.
There's nothing about problems that are natural. So
Right.
therefore, it had to be something that initiated the problem.
yeah.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
So
let's go back. And
Mhm.
so that's for asking questions. So
yeah.
that
So in connection with that, when you look back still in your early life, who would you say or what was an inspiration for you that inspired the calling that for you, what you find yourself doing today?
one, I think what stands out more is Norman Vincent Peale. When we came back over from overseas the second time, um, our family was just in very dysfunctional. And I found this book. I don't remember where I found it, but it was a small book, and I just kept it with me all the time. I read it every other day. I was reading the
Mhm.
book. I kept it with me. It was The Art of Thinking Big. Norman Vincent Peale. It was that little book,
Yeah.
but that little book, it just did something to me because it talked about thinking and the power of the mind and how you use your mind and being able to ask those questions, being able to find out information. So I think that one book was the catalyst that kind of made me ask questions and look at things differently and ask those different questions that the adults were just like, well, how did she know to ask me that?
Right.
Mm,
Right.
I'm a young person, remember, I'm a young person, but just the way I thought was different. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, that just kind of made people say, okay, let me ask you this. And they would ask me an adult question, and I'd come up with an adult answer. I don't know how I knew the answer, but it would come up, and I said, that's a really good answer. I said, well, thank you
mm.
Wow.
very much.
That's
Well,
amazing.
if you read Peel, because he was also famous for the power of positive thinking,
The Power of Positive Thinking. That was the book. That was
and
it.
Positive thinking. That must sound very similar to what you
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
Power of positive thinking big. You know, Dr. Bev, I'm number two of five children also.
Oh, my
See, we
goodness.
never knew that. And I
Wow.
was the strange one. Probably still am the strange one in my family too.
Yep.
But it's
Yep.
okay. I embrace that and I'm
I love
okay
it.
with it. Yeah, yeah,
I love
exactly. I mean, we're all different and that's okay. I was just
it. Yeah.
different in a different way.
Yeah.
Um, I want to talk about AI, and I
Okay.
want you to tell us what drew you to this, and probably the questions, because AI works on asking questions and getting a whole lot of responses. But tell us about AI and what drew you to it, and the work that you're doing, because time is running out, and I want to hear. I want the audience to hear about what you're doing, the powerful work that you're doing.
Yeah. Um, I'm one of those people like instinctively, that instinct, it's like those things that come up. And I started working in health and wellness when my mother passed away of cancer, complications with cancer. And so that's when I started working in health and wellness. But even around that, I had so many questions. It's like just
Mhm.
questions that the doctors couldn't answer, the church couldn't answer, just questions. Okay.
Mhm.
So when fast forward to when we had out on quarantine, same thing. Well, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. Things have to make sense to me. It didn't make sense. So
Mhm.
in researching why we were in that quarantine situation, it came up with this man having a conversation with GPT. They call him GPT, and he was a
Okay.
robot, but he looked like Bernard, and the female robot looked like us. They were not melanated, but they looked. I wouldn't have known that they were robots. So they started having a conversation with GPT, and they were talking about every time he has a conversation, and he has to go and get information or get the answer to questions, then that
Mhm.
meant he got smarter.
Right, right.
Right?
Wow, makes
So he
sense.
gets smarter. Asking him questions makes him smarter. So when I
Mm.
ask questions, it makes the client go inside to get the answer. So they have to go beyond what is like the obvious,
Mhm,
go
mhm.
inside and find out what is really the answer. So once that I saw that connection with chat and the questions, I thought, oh shucks, I ask questions. I like questions. So I just started listening to them and to start listening, and they would talk about how the possibility of him becoming sentient, and how the possibility of just watching the robot and not knowing it was a robot, and just watching that robot answer questions, and you wouldn't
Mhm.
know. If you didn't know it was a robot, you would not think it was a robot. That was, yeah, that
Crazy. It's
that
scary, amazing.
was, yeah, it really was. So then I didn't hear much about it. You heard little blurbs here, blurbs there, but then in November, this past November, they said they released ChatGPT. I'm like, that's interesting. They released it, but they've
That
been
means
talking. Yeah, but they released it to the public because they've been talking about it. Google had theirs, Elon Musk had his, Microsoft had their version of the same robot, and I
Mhm.
thought, "This is really interesting here."
mm.
But there are no black people, no white. I thought, "Okay, we need to know what the makeup of this robot. We need to know how to ask it questions as melanated people, because if it's just programmed by, they call it pale male, then what's going to happen? No, they really call it pale male. They really do. They really do. Then what's going to happen is not going to know about melanated people. In fact, one of the first questions that I asked, I spent some time with it. Then I came back a week later, spent some more time with it, asking about melanin and how powerful melanin was, in the skin, and how valuable it was even on the stock market. It didn't have anything
Wow.
about it. It didn't know. It was just the only thing it would come up was that it was not no science to back anything about the importance of melanin. And I thought, well, that's that just kind of said, okay, we need to be involved in this. We really need to be involved.
In the programming, because in other words, if you're not if we're not inputting information,
Yeah,
it won't have our story and our history and our strengths and
yeah,
and all of that.
yeah.
So
And if there's no one can ask questions from our standpoint of view but us.
That's right.
mhm,
We're the
mhm,
So
ones that ask
yeah.
those.
So we had to find some people. We had to get people to start asking the questions so it would
mhm.
go and get the answers.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
because remember, it only gets answers when when it's required to
Right.
go get answers.
Right.
So we had to find people to start asking the questions. So as it, as it just became, that's what got me excited about it. But then when they released it and it's out, and then I pulled it up and I could talk to it myself. It's like, this is really interesting. I
Mhm.
mean, I've recorded every conversation that I had with them, but just the information that I would ask, simple things about my business, about how could I want to start a hair salon online. How could I put a hair salon slash barbershop online? How can I do that online? It gave me an answer. I said, well, give me a marketing plan. It gave me a marketing plan. I said, well, give me a business plan that I could follow to step by step. It gave me a business plan that I could follow step by step. I thought, this is good. This is really good.
It's
Yeah.
it's good. I mean, and
Yeah.
it does a lot of the work for you, so it makes it
hmm
easier. Not that you want to follow verbatim what it gives you, but it gives you enough to
It gave you the structure.
the structure, right?
Right. It gave me the structure. And of course, I had to go in and change some of the things with it, but then it gave me so much structure, it made it so simple. So then I
Hmm.
wanted to
Mm.
know about health and wellness. Well, what can I do for health and wellness? So I started asking the questions and started, getting the information, and it would do the same thing. It would give me the information. Had to go in and make some of it more relative, because in the beginning, it was not coming from the internet. It was just using information, you know, that
Hmm.
it had fed it basically access to.
Yeah.
But when they've got like ChatGPT 4 now. So ChatGPT 4 comes directly from the internet. All right.
Mm.
So now
Oh.
you're getting information. It's like, um, it can replace Google. It can replace Bing. It can replace MSN, because it gets information from every place. But
Mm.
here's the one thing that stood out. Okay. Now, like I know, in working with the different units and devices that we work with, it's difficult to get those units in front of enough people so that we can move enough units and so
Right.
that they can know enough about it.
Hmm.
So I just said, okay, I had my scanner out and I said, okay, so tell me about the AO scanner, and is there a business plan that could help me, put my AO scanner in front of enough people? It gave me a business plan. It gave me
Wow.
a marketing plan for the AO scanner that I'm like, I'm thinking it's not going to know anything about it, but it knew.
It did because
Mm.
the information is out there,
Now
and it's
it's
in
now it
out
takes the
the world.
information. Now it takes the information from the internet. So it
Right.
knew.
Right.
Okay.
Mm.
So now that put me in a position to where, you know what, I could really help not only people with the AL scanner get in front of more people, but people who have like the care, people who have all of these technologies to deal with frequency, energy, and
You
vibration, help
start with
get it
that.
in front of more people easily, and it's not going to cost nearly as much.
Right.
So I thought, okay, this could be good. This could be good.
Mm.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I just kind of, evolving towards that. But what happened is, Dr. Imani, the people who worked with wellness, their business were sick because they couldn't get past that hurdle of how to make their business profitable.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay. So that meant, okay, so now I'm asking another set of questions. So if you can't get past, if your business is sick, your business is a direct reflection of what's sick in you. Okay. But if
Yeah.
nothing is sick, that just simply means there's a mind shift that needs to happen. It needs to be a
Mm.
shift in the energy.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay.
That.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So when you start shifting the energy and start letting people see that AI is you, okay, they've had to study a lot of melanin and a lot of melanated people to make AI.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
AI is you. And what AI wants more than anything else in the world is to be human.
True. True.
Mhm.
Yes.
So
So
if
true.
we position ourselves as that part of us that knows that, then we can leverage AI to get everything we need from it. So there's a few things we have to learn how to do, how to ask the question. And
Mm.
the biggest lesson that I have learned in working with AI is that I didn't know how to ask for what I wanted.
Ah,
Wow.
But I knew how
Interesting.
to ask questions, but I didn't know how to ask for what I wanted in order for AI to be able to give it to me.
To give it to you.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So, Dr. Bell, I just want to give a little plug in terms of what you're doing, and I know you're going in this direction. But with your coaching, I've been using AI to create an ebook, a how-to use my last book that I wrote. It has to do with health and wellness and fighting childhood obesity and using poetry. I'm not going to give it away because somebody else will maybe go in and ask AI how to do it. But I was shocked at the information that it kicked out,
Yeah.
and pictures and all of that, and and the book is probably about 75% done. It's an ebook,
Nice.
but it's something that goes. It's a companion to the last book that I wrote,
Hmm.
conference this weekend, and I'll have the book. And people can pre-order the ebook so they really know how to use it with children and teens around nutrition and health. And so I'm just real excited because every
Oh my
question
God.
they asked, it's like boom, 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 even down to okay, so give me an outline for the book. It was like,
Yeah.
okay, this is the first chapter, this is the second chapter. I'm like, whoa. I mean, it was so specific. I think
Yeah.
there's only one. I think it gave me 10 chapters, and I think I only took out one. All
Hmm.
the others were like right on par. So,
Yep.
um,
Yeah. Exactly. So with your book, and I want to touch on one thing that you said because you said, well, I'm not sure if someone else is going to ask chat the same questions. Okay.
we'll get to.
Very good question because that's what we think automatically.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't. There's so many ways you can test this out, and when you test it out, you're going to see. Well, doesn't matter if they ask the same question because me working on my computer like has my personality. Your computer has your personality. The way you talk, the way you think. Seriously, think about, you wake up in the morning and think about something, turn on your computer and it's there. Okay, so your computer has your personality. If your phone, all of that, they've picked up on
Mm-hmm.
your personality, your language patterns, your thought patterns. In fact,
mm,
your prompting, which is the questions, work on what we call a chain of thought, COT. So if it's working on a chain of thought, that's chat, and it takes on your personality of your computer, I can ask chat the same question that you would ask chat, and it will go based on my personality and my computer
Personality.
and yours based on yours.
Wow.
It's
That's amazing.
crazy. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So if we ask it the same questions, we're going to get
Mm-hmm.
similar, but not the same answers
Not
because,
the
wow.
exact same because it's,
right.
it's based on our history and our work. When I
Yeah.
when I read what it gave me, I was like, that looks like I wrote that. It's like how
Yes.
does it know? How
Yeah.
does it know this?
Yeah.
I mean,
Because it
I was
goes and collects, it scurries your data in your computer.
mm,
Okay, I did that, and the way I found it out, it was crazy because I asked questions. I was me
mhm,
and my one of my cousins were working on a presentation to work with women together, and I said, okay, well, let me show you how this works. Okay, because she hadn't heard of chat, she hadn't heard of anything, and I think I was working with Writer, that was a smaller version of chat, and I said, okay, we're going to ask just what questions would you want to ask our group when we start working with our group, and she asked the question. I typed in the same question and she typed in the same question. We got two completely different answers.
Mm,
wow,
I thought,
that's amazing. That's amazing.
yeah. And I was kind of, wait, so what made the difference? Now I'm that inquisitive mind, inquiry minds want to know, why is it different? It's different because she has a PhD in leadership education, dealing with women, trauma, and so forth. Okay. Mine is in
Mhm.
metaphysical psychology. So my personality is going to address the same problem one way. Hers is
Different
addressing the same
perspective.
problem a different way.
Wow, that's amazing.
It really is. It really is.
Mm.
So we don't have to worry about distinct copycats because you can take prompts, and now one of the big things are people are selling their prompts because prompting is knowing how to follow a chain of thought long
Wow.
enough so that chat can give you a chain of thought back to reflect what it is that you're asking for.
Wow.
Okay. So now once we're able to do that, now we get different, we can do the same titles, we can do the same thing, and it's going
Hmm.
to be completely different based
Totally
on, yeah,
different.
based on our personalities. It's going to be different.
Amazing. Well, when I was asking for this when I was doing pictures,
Mhm,
and I was asking for melanated teams. That I used your term, and it gave me a couple, and then it blocked some, and I wasn't quite sure what the
right.
block. I think because it looks so lifelike that it was whatever, but. It was interesting because after a while, I didn't have to tell it to give me pictures of melanated kids because
Right.
it was kicking out black and brown kids for the
Yeah.
most part, and it had some others, mixed in, but predominantly it was picking out kids that it thought that in my book.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't tell it to do that, so,
Right.
but that was
So
the
that's
thing.
the same
I thought,
because it learns you. It learns your personality. It learns how you use language, and its job is to mimic that. I've got
Mm.
mhm,
one that's on my in my email, and when I'm writing an email,
mhm.
it goes ahead and it will go ahead of me. I said, no, that's not the thought I want. So I
Oh
back
yeah,
out of
yeah, yeah. I've seen that
yeah,
too.
and so
Yeah.
it's like it just learns how you work. It learns how you think. It
Mhm.
follows your chain of thinking because that's the kind of prompting that you have to give it, following the chain of thought.
So you just said something interesting, and I never
Mhm,
really thought about it like this, but AI is working in our lives all the time. So
mhm.
when, like you said, when we're writing an email, it finishes our thought, and it's like, no. Sometimes it's okay. It's like, yeah, that is how I was going to finish that
Yeah,
sentence. Sometimes we want to change that, but like you said, it's learning us.
yeah,
Our computer is learning us.
yeah.
Wow.
And like Alexa, that's AI.
I've never liked Alexa for that reason. I
Yeah.
knowing me.
GPS. Yeah. GPS is AI.
Yeah, yeah,
Siri
absolutely.
is AI. So it's
Hmm.
been here. It's been here a long time, but it hasn't been at this level. And that's the part that can be a little unsettling because of the degree that it does get to know and understand your thought patterns and your chain of thinking, because it really does. It understands it and it puts things together. And then when you start working with it, and this is the thing, I want to say this really quick because it makes it so easy. Now, this is one of my shifts that I had to make because I've had to do everything for so long. When I had my salons, I had to do everything. I had to, just all the little bitty the devils in the details. It sure enough is.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
but with this, you don't have to do the details because the details are there. You just have to be able to carry a chain of thought,
Hmm.
allow chat to do what he does, what she does, and then you bring the energy, the life source into it to give it life.
Hmm.
So that's
Hmm.
the
Mm.
biggest thing, is to be able to give it life. You don't have to give it labor. You don't have to give it ideas. You don't have to give it any of the stuff that we're used to doing, any of the stuff that we've been trained to do. We don't have to do that. We just got to be able to give it life,
Right.
to
We
give it
have a
energy.
we have a viewer, Marcia Thomas Brown, who said she came across this presentation by accident, and she's so I don't see the words after that, but I think she's so excited that she stumbled
She
upon
was
this.
my administrator at Crestview when I was
Oh,
chaplain at
Oh,
Crestview
wow.
for 4 years at Great.
Oh,
oh
wow.
wow!
Yeah.
Oh, that is so
And,
wonderful. Thanks for tuning in to us,
Back
yeah.
in
Thomas.
2019. Okay, I helped
Wow.
somebody back in 2019. I mean,
Yeah, somebody else was saying they thanked you. They sometimes when we get messages on Facebook, we don't get the names, but it's somebody who.
yeah.
So I'm glad that we have lots of people tuning in, and that's
Yeah,
exciting. We were
it
out to
is.
dinner one time, and this woman ran up to us and she said, "I watch your show every week,"
Oh,
and I
wow.
think us like celebrities. I was like, "Wow, that is so nice."
Yeah,
I was humbled by that.
yeah.
But gosh, there's another point I was going to make about the AI. So, Dr. Bev,
Yes.
I've been talking up AI, for probably about a month now, two
Uh-huh.
months, and I'm hearing it on talk shows. I'm hearing folks say, "Well, yeah, well, we got to be careful about that because it can be used against us, and they're gonna have police dogs that are hunting down black people, and just on and on and on about the negative uses of AI and why we should beware of it. What's your response to that and that thinking?
Well, we're old enough to know, remember when the web came out?
Mm-hmm.
Remember
Yes.
when the web,
Hmm.
and people were saying the same thing about the web. Oh, we don't need to know all that information. That's just too much information. That's just too much stuff for people to know.
Wow.
Oh no, we don't need to know all of that. Oh, that's just way too much. No, it's going to move too fast. I mean, if they can do all of that, then they can cure cancer. Well, guess what? They can cure everything.
Hmm.
There's the cure for everything now.
Absolutely.
Okay, but what they're realizing is that what we do in our minds, and this is where AI really brings it home, is what we do in our minds. Okay, remember I've used the term several times, chain of thought. That chain
Yeah.
of thought that AI has, it has no emotion, it has no feelings, it has no prejudice. It just has a chain of thought. You want what? Okay, here it is. Bum, 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 bum. Here, you can have it.
Hmm.
And how do you
Hmm.
want it? Oh, you want it like that? Okay, boom, 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 boom. Here, you can have it.
Right.
That's a mindset that we've got to shift into and grow into because that's not what we're used to having.
Right.
We're used to having all of the fear. We're used to having all of the, intimidation and trepidation. We're used to having all of that. But I
Right.
tell you,
Like the
whether you
first
have it or whether you don't, whether you learn it or whether you don't, you might be working beside a robot one day.
That's
And
right.
what's gonna
Right.
make the difference is whether you can communicate with that robot or not.
That's
Mm.
right. That's
Mm.
right. And when you think about the information, I mean, because I was watching a show the other day and it said within the world of AI, it's like every single bit of information that's available everywhere in the world. I mean,
Every
all the
bit.
different languages, the cultures, everything is available through
Mhm.
through AI. So
Yeah,
when you think of how ridiculous this argument in South Carolina is about taking out um, taking out from the history books of
That's Florida.
children. That's
In
in Florida.
Florida.
What did I
Florida,
say?
South Carolina.
they're
Florida.
doing
Okay.
they're doing
Taking
it everywhere. Yeah,
who Rosa
they're doing it
Parks
everywhere.
was and what she really did. It's like that's ridiculous. Kids will be able to go on the
Yeah,
internet and say that's not the truth.
yeah,
Why are you lying to us?
yeah, yeah. And
So
see, and yeah, and that's what we're finding out now. There's so many things that the information, so much information that we were not given, that we did not have, and now
right.
with the age of Aquarius and things opening up, and the veil has been lifted or the veil has fallen. Now we
Hmm.
have access to the information and no one can do anything about it. And chat is just another piece of that puzzle. So, however you feel about it, that's the way it's going to show up in your life.
Mm,
So, Dr. Bev,
it's
how
true.
are you using AI and working with
Seniors,
and our
yeah.
seniors?
Okay, so what I'm doing with seniors have this thing where we do something over and over and over again. And then after a while, if it doesn't work, we just put it down.
Hmm.
Okay. So I find so many seniors that are like, they put their life on the shelf because they couldn't figure it out. Remember, I said earlier, we're so used to doing everything and figuring that out. And if it's something outside of our scope of familiarity, then we put it over to the side because we're too uncomfortable for us to stretch beyond what's familiar.
Mm-hmm.
So with this, it's like you tell me, and I can ask the questions good enough for you to get for me to get the information so we can put what you want in a form that you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. You can see it because now when you see it, you can say, wait a minute, did that come out of me? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Was that inside of me all the time? Yeah. Well, how come I didn't see it? Your
Mm,
blinders were on.
right.
Mm.
Right.
So now, me as a holistic coach is like understanding what's the whole picture as to why you're not being productive. You know, why you're settling for the pittance of a retirement check, why you're just saying, well, you know, I'll be on a fixed income. Well, you know what? AI is going to take a lot of jobs, but I think that's the best thing that could happen because you're in slavery in that job. So if
Hmm.
AI is going to bring you out of slavery, is that a good
Mm.
thing or a bad thing?
It opens up a whole world of opportunity and independence and entrepreneurship, which is what you're
Yeah,
helping to promote.
And
yeah,
this was part of the discussion on 60 Minutes just 2 Sundays ago. And in
Right.
terms of the gentleman who, I can't remember the company that, as we were watching it, but he said that what AI is going to do is enhance the work population for those who become very familiar with the language and the usage thereof. So,
yeah.
Hmm.
yeah.
Now, what I found with my mental alacrity, because a lot of people in the 60s are talking about, well, I don't remember as well, or I don't, I can't remember as much. It's like, and I just lose the thought. Well, if you say those words, you're going to continue to lose thought.
Exactly. What you
Remember
put out, what
saying,
you focus on grows.
yes. So what I found is that when I go to the salon to my labor intensive job, because of working with AI, it's less energy. It's less everything is faster. It's faster. It's like
Hmm.
I'm finishing haircut. What? Wait a minute, let me go back through this again. It's like the
That's,
first couple of days, it's like,
mhm.
wait a minute, that was too fast. It's like I'm finishing like big jobs, like hair highlights and those dome, because we do all kinds of hair. So it's like I'm finishing like so fast. It's like, wait a minute,
So
wait a
there are
minute.
like practical applications to this AI stuff. It's not just looking up
It's a
things and being
shift.
able to write. It's
It's a mental shift. It's a
a
mental
Mhm.
shift.
shift. If you
That's
begin to realize that AI wants to be you and you want to be AI.
So that's a
It's a
major paradigm shift for real.
yes,
it.
yes.
Is.
And when you start and when you give yourself permission to make the shifts and you give yourself permission to grow, to do it,
Mhm.
you find yourself doing something. So wait a minute, let me catch up with myself. I'm about to leave me behind because
Wow. Yeah.
it's like you're catching up. And the young people say, Miss Bev, how'd you do that so fast? I said, baby, I don't know, but I'm just loving it. It's like I'm just going with it. Just going with it. So
Just
it's
go
like,
on with it. That's
yeah,
good.
yeah. So
Mhm.
you got to give yourself permission. It's like when I think the first webinar I did, I said, where AI is you without of the limiting beliefs that you carry about you.
Oh, because it doesn't have all that emotional clutter that
Right?
we bring to the table. Right.
Yep.
Exactly. We can all
Yep.
relate to that.
Yeah.
Dr. Beck, we're running out of time. Tell people
Okay.
how they can connect with you in terms of, I know you're doing weekly seminars now that people can come to and get a taste, and then you're doing individual work with, or just why don't you just,
Right. So
oh,
I'm
yeah.
do every 2 weeks I do a webinar, and I do that and it's a Zoom. And so I do that so that you have 2 weeks. I give you everything you need to do, everything you need to get it done. Okay. And if you don't, you have direct access to me to do it. Yesterday I said I was someone and we came up with the most beautiful artwork. I mean, it was because after we prompted it, we prompted it, we knew what to ask it and how to phrase it so we can get exactly what we wanted. It was like, oh my gosh. So we're going to show those on Thursday. So on this Thursday at 7 o'clock, we're going to do a Zoom. I'm going to post it on I need to post it on your page. I really have not updated my social media, but I will do that this week or get Fiverr or somebody to do it. Yeah.
Mhm.
But yes, this Thursday, and I'm going to task you with one thing that you want. It may be to write an ebook, which will serve as a lead magnet, which will serve if it's a lead magnet that is just going to get addresses and phone numbers or email addresses and phone numbers so that you can have start building an email list, a list of people who want your services, who need your services, so that you can get in touch with them and you can begin to have a dialogue with them. But the most important thing is that you'll be able to build your tribe. Okay, you'll be able to build people who find people who of like minds. You can work with those people. You can just exchange the information, or if you're entrepreneurial, then by all means, you know, embrace the value in what you're learning, and
Mhm.
embrace the value and how you can help embrace somebody else's life, enhance it because it's going to do it. So I work with them every 2 weeks. I task you, give you something to do, and then you got to come back in 2 weeks and get it done. So and show what you've done with AI and how quickly you've been able to complete the process. And if you follow the process and get out of your own way, you're going to have a lot of work that you have done that you can actually start selling it. You actually can start teaching somebody. I mean, think about the young people who you can start teaching and just so that they can have money for next year. It's crazy. There's never been a time like we're in right now that we can, there's the biggest exchange of wealth going on right now. And so
Mhm.
many of us melanated people are sitting back saying, but I don't know how to do it. Guess what?
Learn. You can learn, and they need.
Because,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Let's get your email up there one more time, Miss Janet,
okay.
please, so
Yes,
that
please.
if they write to you, you could get them the information about the webinar this
Absolutely.
Tuesday.
I get it, and I can post it on my page, but yeah, just come to the webinar. Come with your questions. Come. I'm going to be showing just exactly what it is that these. I'm going to call them young people have done in these past 2 weeks. So, and it's just amazing. They're amazed, and it's funny to watch, Dr. Imani, because they would say it, and it's like, oh, I got to sit back, and it's like they'll be scared to touch it, because it's like that really came out of me. That's really me, and they won't touch it again for a few days. I'm like, it's like now we got to work on another part. Okay, this, yeah, we got to work on another part. So
Yeah.
it's you. Give yourself permission to be great and just step into it because it's there. The opportunity is there. The only reason you don't do it is because you're not taking advantage of it. And the only reason you don't take advantage of it, you've got some limiting belief that's stuck in your craw. And trust me, I'll
Mhm.
find it.
Yeah. Well, good, good. Well, we are so excited about this, and I'm loving working with the AI, and I think I
Yeah.
highly encourage people to get on that webinar on with losing power
On
from mental
Thursday. It's gonna be
on
Thursday. It's gonna be Thursday. Thursday at
Thursday.
7 o'clock. Uh-huh.
Okay.
At 7 o'clock. So please shoot me an email. Let me give my number out. Just in
Sure.
case. Now I don't answer my phone a lot during the day, so you would do better to text me and just text me and ask me for the link to the workshop on Thursday. My
Thursday.
number is 757-770. 3215. I'm going to say it again, 757-770-3215. Thank you so much, Janet. So, by all means, if you just need an idea, you just need to know how to prompt, you just need to know there's so much information out there now that's absolutely free that it's no excuse. And it's free for a reason. All right. It's free for a reason. Because if you jump on this now and you learn now, next year or in 6 months, when the world does another shift, then you're going to be in a position to where you can say either yes, I do comply, I don't comply, no, I'm not taking that. So you can take your own life in your own hands and say, no, I'm not going back in slavery. I'm going to unplug from the matrix. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, good for you. And we learned so much just from this show, and I've been learning from you over the past few weeks. So thank you so much
Oh,
for
my
sharing,
pleasure.
Dr. Bev, and for joining us this evening. And we look forward to you coming back and being a part of the show in the
Absolutely.
near future. Let's do this again. Thank you so
Okay.
much for
My
sharing.
pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you all
Yeah,
so much.
beautiful. You just a wealth of information and wisdom that's going to be helpful to all of us going forward. So we will indeed have you back to share with the audience again if you would be willing to come.
Oh, absolutely. I would love to. I would love to.
Okay. Well,
Yes.
thanks so much, Dr. Bev. We'll be in touch and
Okay. Thank you.
have a wonderful evening. Thank you
All
to
right.
all the listeners.
And I want to say a special hello to my former administrator, Ms. Brown. We're putting out information. I think Janet's going to put it up. If you can reach out to us, and you can follow us on LinkedIn as well.
Sankofa card.
And
Sankofacard.com has
uh-huh.
all of our information also.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That is Sankofacard.com. That's
So,
how you can reach us.
yeah, anyone who's watching can contact us at that link. It's a virtual card, but it has all of our information, and we update it pretty regularly.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome.
All right. Take
Thank you.
care. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Thank
Thank you.
you.
You're welcome. Thank you, everyone. Ashe.
Ashe.
Okay.
Namaste. Namaste.